I'm Mark McAleer. I work for Amco Supplies, Bar on the Derry Road. Um, 50 years of age. Hobbies are cycling and many, too numerous to mention. And I was converted to Christ on the 6th of January 1993, 3 days before I got married.
Hi, I'm Natasha McAleer, married to Mark McAleer. um, I come to know Christ in the summer of '92, which then led us to get married. Later on that following year, we run a business together called Amco Supplies. We have two children, Jed and Zara, which most of you know. My hobbies, as you can see, is gardening. That's why we're in the polytunnel. One of my favourite places to be. Only place you'll get me right now, other than work. And that's about it for me. Um, my biggest challenge during lockdown has just been having to diversify um, and change the way we do things. The fact that we can't just run up and hug someone or get close to someone to have a conversation up close. Plus the queuing. I hate queuing. So that has been a real learning curve for me, just to be patient, calm down, slow down. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is just um, the biggest challenge, just not being able to embrace people like I normally would on a daily basis. So just having to learn new ways of doing that, and that's about it.
Biggest challenge for me would be likewise closeness with people, having to keep your distance. But again, the amount of work that the lockdown actually imposed upon us as a couple and a family was a very big challenge. But as we always do, we always step up to the challenges. Some of the benefits that I feel is that it makes you realize who you are and what you can do and can achieve, and what you can do as a couple together is the most important thing that I feel that we have achieved more together. No matter how busy our life becomes, uh, it always gets easier when there's two working together.
Some of the benefits of lockdown for me have been just taking stock of family and of um, just the resources that you have to pull on to get through. So for me, it's about just daily having to seek God's wisdom and discernment for that day ahead. Really, just seeking how do we get through today. Um, our business didn't stop. Our business didn't close, and we're thankful for that. But we did have challenges of um, just the downturn and things. But the benefits of that meant that we drew closer to God. And as a family drew closer to God, we depended on Him for our strengths. Um, and that enabled us just to keep going. So I think that was just the biggest thing for me. The benefit of the lockdown was just to allow me time to take stock of just where my strength comes from. So that to me was a real enjoyable experience. Even though it was tough, I enjoyed the fact that it taught me to rely on God to be my strength on a daily basis, not just now and again, but as a daily thing. For me, what I've enjoyed the least has been yet again queuing and having to wait in line. As a busy person, you just kind of tend to put the head down and get on. And we haven't been in lockdown like other families or like other businesses. We've had to keep going, and um, and that's been a challenge, because you see sometimes other people that have just had all this time at home to relax and chill out, where and maybe even just to build more family relations, whereas we have had to carry on, and really don't know what the effects of lockdown is like for people who've been locked away, really, other than to speak with them when we've spoken to a few people about it, where they've said it's tough, not really being able to go out and not having the same purpose as normal. We've had to kind of change that, but at the same time, it hasn't been enjoyable for us either, because it's been different and it's been challenging, and it's made us actually realize just how much we take for granted our freedom. Um, we were very blessed that we were able to keep going, and to have purpose every day, even though it was challenging. But it hasn't been that enjoyable, and the queues and having to avoid people and the social distancing has just been really out of the norm for me as a Christian, because I like to draw close to people, I like to have conversation, and I like to embrace with a hug, especially those who are in need, where my heart would lie. But so that's been really unenjoyable for me.
What what's been unenjoyable in lockdown for me is nothing really, because as Natasha has said, we haven't been in lockdown. We have been busier than ever, and when busy people find that they have either a little time extra to themselves, they do something with that time. And what we have done is we've built this polytunnel, and Natasha has started growing all these great vegetables, and can't wait till the strawberries are ready. I started doing more cycling, and going out with my son, and just having a bit of quality time with him out in the forest, and actually doing a lot of fitness things. So really, to say there was anything that was unenjoyable about lockdown, haven't really had time to say there was anything. And it must have been really hard for people that were not allowed actually to go out and had to be restricted in their homes. But for me, didn't have that. And as people say, if I have a minute in the day, I fill it with something. So that's really how I went this over this period in my life. I have learned that uh, I should stop worrying so much about what other people think, and I should focus more on God on a day-to-day basis, and even an hour-to-hour basis in my life. I should focus more on the closeness of our relationship, a relationship with my family, my son and daughter, and not take the great openness that we have and freedom that we have for granted, and actually to respect other people more.
What I've learned about myself during this time is to be more patient. That it's okay to go slower. It's okay to not always have all the answers, and it's okay not to be able to do everything, and also just how strong you are when you put your trust in God. So for me, something like building this tunnel, taking on the challenge of doing all of this, seemed like it was too big. Will we ever be able to do it? But I ever be able to cope with it? Yet I love it here, and I just find that I can spend an hour or two in here just alone, with God or with family members, and just really love and enjoy that, and quality time with family, and just realizing that sometimes I can be too busy to notice those around me, or too busy to actually pay attention to what's going on around me. So this has taught me just to slow down a little bit, the queuing has taught me that I need to slow down, and it also has taught me that you don't always need things. You don't need to queue to every shop to get everything you think you need, because sometimes you don't need it, and all you need is really to trust in God and to trust in um, His ways, and His ways are the right ways for us, and to trust that is just about saying, God, today's yours. What can I do today to honor you, God? And um, so I've learned that God just really wants to be in relationship with me on a daily basis in my business and in my hobbies and in my family life. So it's about doing that. It's about giving God that time, slowing down and just giving Him that time. I think for us as a couple, God has taught us just to um, enjoy our freedom, because we haven't had any illnesses in our family that made us shield. We haven't had to take time off work, um, but we've been able to work as a family together. We have been able to really draw on each other's strengths in our business and in our family. It is a big part. Our business is a big part of our family. It's all for God. It's all about God, and I think God has been speaking to me just about trusting Him on a daily basis for every wee thing. He's in the detail, and we shouldn't forget that. We're so blessed that Jed and Zara both work for us, and that we pull and stretch and encourage each other. And God's taught me not to limit anyone. But I think as well as that, just that sometimes we just have to trust God for the unknown. And through this whole thing, it is about God's really been giving me discerning words on just trusting Him in the detail. That's basically what it is. It's just trust Him in the detail, and everything will work out. And not to worry about it. It'll be fine. He's in it.
Yeah, I would agree that it has been a learning curve and teaching us that we are a strong unit, and to think back to when we actually even opened our shop, it was a big step for me and Natasha, and Zara and Jed were very young, but now they've grown into it, and they understand that it's not just a shop where we serve goods to the public. We opened our shop to support 2,000 orphans in India. We have supported orphans in Uganda. We support youth work within OMA and the community, and we have always been firm in that belief that the more we give to God, the more He will pour out His blessings upon us. And the blessings that He has given us is the strength and unity as a family. He has blessed us with good health, and He's encouraged us to work hard and have a strength to focus upon Him and the direction that He wants us to go in. We have learned that if we do things honestly in our business life, God rewards us in many ways in our social life and our family life. One piece of advice I would give to any member of the church body is that when things do get hard, or Satan maybe tries to bring you down, or people criticize you, or you may feel unwell, there's really only one thing to do, and that is to focus upon Christ, and don't give Satan the credence and the time. If you can always, a saying that was always I remember is that if you're looking at Satan, if you can just look to the right and look behind him, you'll see Jesus, and he'll just be going. And if you can keep your focus upon Jesus, He'll change your life, He'll change your circumstances, no matter how hard you think it is, and He will bring unity into your heart with Him, with your family, with your friends, in your job, and in your community. And that's what we base our life on, is we work for our community and we work with each other as a family. And that's my advice to the church. If you work together in unity with Christ, it can only but grow in the right direction.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And it is about, I think this whole thing has just caused some doubt in some people, and through this whole lockdown, people have nearly got fearful of what's going to happen next, and how's this all going to end, and am I going to get this COVID-19, and what if I do? What happens? A lot of fear and a lot of worry, which is exactly what the enemy would want, would be to bring us down, to steal our joy, to steal our faith in Christ and our trust. So for me, one piece of advice would be just trust God in everything. And the piece of scripture that God laid in my heart was from Deuteronomy 31, and it says, "The Lord Himself goes before you; He will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid and do not be discouraged." And I would just say that through this whole thing, if you're feeling discouraged or if you're feeling afraid, just turn your focus to Christ and say, "Lord, this is your promise and I'm standing on it. You'll never leave me nor forsake me." And you can pray that over your family, you can pray that over your friends, you can pray it over your circumstances, and just trust Him to be in everything that you do. His promises never fail and they never change, so He will always be with you. He says He will never leave you nor forsake you. That means He's by your side in everything. You're never alone. Just trust Him. And I know times are changing and things are different, but that's okay. Change is good. And we just have to refocus and say, how do we do church? How do we do things and differently? And what we have to do is focus on Christ, and He will lead us and guide us, and He will open doors, and He will create a way. It's not just our thing to do that. It's Christ's thing to do that. He is our master. He is our guide and our provider. Just let Him do that. But just trust Him on a daily basis. Seek Him daily, and He'll put your feet on a path that's right. And He'll remove the fear, and He'll give you peace that surpasses all understanding. I found myself at times getting fearful and doubtful like anyone else, but I just turn my focus to Christ and say, Lord, I don't want to feel this way. I want to be at peace. And no sooner have I prayed that till I find this peace, and within minutes I'm going, wow, this is lifted. So it is about just focusing on Him, and it's easy to say, but putting it into practice can become easy as well, by just saying, no, I trust and I stand on the promises of God. And we all have mobile phones, we all have Bibles, we all have things where we can find these promises. And I would just encourage the church, or as a church body, if you are discouraged, just even get a sheet of paper and write down the promises of Christ, things He promises to do, to never leave you nor forsake you, and to write down the things that He has already done for you, and to actually build your faith back up again and say, no, my God is a good and faithful God. He'll never let me down. Just trust Him in everything. He's in the detail. We plant a seed and we see everything grow. Amazingly, I've been teaching Serena that, so I just have been teaching her to plant a seed and see what happens. And she's amazed by that, and that's building faith. She has faith in that. So again, just plant a seed of faith and say, today I'm going to write out the promises of God, and I'm going to write out what God has done for me already in my life, and just put it into practice. Read over it until you feel that fear or that doubt lift, and you'll see that Christ has won the battle, and His peace will settle on you, and that there's nothing to fear when you're in Christ. I think that will be it.